Hogstye.
Hello, hello, and welcome to the show. It is the Hogsty, now moving up in the rankings of podcasts about Washington sports for a very dark reason that we'll get into later. But
Whatever the
welcome.
reason is, I'll take it.
Yes. We at least moved up one, maybe two. I didn't know how many podcasts the Washington Post had, but they don't have many
Formally.
more. All right. Well, let's get into the show though, guys, because we got a lot to talk about. We got Super Bowl obviously coming up. We of course got to do our Pro Bowl recap, right? Because I think it happened. I don't even know. No one knows.
I know it happened. I didn't watch 1 second of
No,
it.
no one did.
I didn't watch any of it either.
It got a -5 share. Like
There's
somehow
our
people
recap.
died watching it.
We know it happened. The end.
All right.
I don't even really know what happened, to be honest. I mean,
No one
I think
does.
there's a flag football thing. There's some.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Skills
Nor do I care.
competition, and it's
Yeah,
about it.
yeah. Hopefully,
Dan
Shador
Soft.
Sanders stole the show because he
Sure.
really certainly deserved to be there.
Right. A
Yeah.
guy who started 6 games and lost
Yes.
5 of them.
And had more interceptions than touchdowns. I mean, that's definitely Pro Bowl caliber.
Yeah. It wouldn't it be great if Deion's son killed the Pro Bowl. All right, let's get into the Super Bowl preview, though. Obviously, tell me if you guys are feeling this. It feels like there's not nearly as much hype for the Super Bowl this year.
Oh, I definitely think that. That's been in my
Absolutely.
head too. I don't know why that is.
Well, I
but-
think it's obvious. It's the lack of star quarterbacks. So dum-dums don't know what to talk about with this team.
A lack of star quarterbacks. You have a lack of premier known coaches. I mean, Vrabel was always a guy who couldn't get past the AFC Championship game for Tennessee, and he was just kind of just looming there, and he was never regarded as a top 5 coach. And Mike McDaniel's starting to establish himself.
Right. He's
it's
very young in the coaching world.
Yep.
And
I mean,
also,
honestly, the only thing that's caught any buzz is the controversy with the halftime show.
right, which there's always controversies with halftime shows.
Yeah, but this one I think is the most divisive and controversial in many, many years.
It's manufactured controversy. I
don't think so. I'm going to boycott it.
Well, good for you.
What's-
I've boycotted
now,
the halftime show for 20 years and not cared.
I'm clearly not in the know on exactly the controversy you're speaking about. I might have heard it, but I'm not sure if I even in tune with you on that one.
MAGA's mad because a Puerto Rican's playing and he'll sing in Spanish. And now,
okay, so
that's
okay,
the
so I
gist
get
of it.
that now.
Well,
Yeah.
first of all, that's partly true.
That's
I-
entirely
I-
the origins of the
No,
controversy.
I have been railing on about Jay-Z's continuing
Well,
assistance to pick a
yes,
string
we've
of
talked about that
rappers for
many
the halftime
times.
show.
We've talked about that
many
many
times.
times,
So
yes.
that's problem number one. And problem number two is I wouldn't say MAGA's mad because that's your politics. I would say the conservative side of the aisle does not like the fact that the NFL is highlighting a guy who is very openly political and left-leaning, which is Bad Bunny. So those two things. It's not just a anti-Trump MAGA thing.
Well, it
Or Trump
started
MAGA
out that
thing.
way. It definitely started out that way.
But I'm telling you, it's that the guy is openly political
Yes.
and has talked about being openly political at the Super Bowl. And that's why people on my side of the aisle, the other reason why my people on my side of the aisle don't like it.
Well, quite frankly, they should just have zero halftime entertainment and just treat it like a regular game. But I'm in the very minute minority when it comes to that one. I hate every halftime show because it takes too long, takes away
I've
from the
said
flow
that
of the
for
game,
years.
momentum, everything. Yes.
I've
Oh,
said
it
it
does
for
do
years
that,
they,
'cause-
the halftime shows have not been good in forever anyway.
Well,
they haven't
That's
had a
true
good.
too.
And it does lengthen the halftime show, and so it does mess up the rhythm of the game and the
Yes.
teams.
We did an episode years ago. I don't remember what this was, probably like year 2 or 3. Steve, remember maybe where I went through all the halftime shows, and the truth about the halftime show is it's usually sucked. From like what was first year 1960, the first Super Bowl, 1960 through most of the 70s. The halftime show was usually the lamest thing you could imagine. Then you had Michael Jackson show up, and you got like 15 good years, and then it went back to being terrible. Like there's a very small window in the Super Bowl's history where the halftime shows were actually good. It's mind blowing. Google the Super Bowl halftime shows. It's up with
Nobody
people like
knows
10
more
years
about
in
the
a row.
halftime show than me. I've written multiple articles on it. I went back for 25 years on the Super Bowl halftime show. I mean, certainly the high water mark for me was a string of U2, the Stones, the Who,
Right.
Bruce Springsteen, Prince, and Tom Petty. That would be the highlight for me. But my point consistently hasn't been it needs to be a bunch of classic rockers that I would love. My point consistently has been make it diverse. It's been
There's
literally
no true variety.
Yeah.
it's been
never
since the
done that.
90s since there's been a country act,
Right.
for example. Not counting Shania Twain, who isn't really a country act.
Yeah. Whatever you call that country rock nonsense that you
Whatever
the
pop,
90s
whatever.
was, no one knows
more
what
pop
was going
rock,
on.
pop country.
But just as an example, there's not been country. There's a string of things they could do. Instead, you got Jay-Z with a string of rappers, and then
There
this
is
time
a
it's
lot
this
of talk
political
that
guy, which nobody wants.
when it's in Tennessee, which I think they're going to try and get one with that new stadium is what they're talking
Listen,
about.
Metallica is from San Francisco.
Yeah.
Well,
I hate to break to you, the window for Metallica has closed due to the age issue.
Metallica is selling out stadiums.
Right, but that's
the Foo Fighters are the rock band of record for most things like this.
But they're trying to get 20-year-olds. They're not trying to get people who like rock and roll. That's
why we've had a string of washed up rappers then.
Yeah, yes.
Washed up rappers.
I'm trying to I can't argue against the washed up rappers. They've been terrible.
Yes.
Yeah.
But you
so
also
I don't
want
to spend. Look, I don't want to go down this super. We've got too much to talk about.
All right, let's talk
my point
about
is,
the actual
it's
game.
very divisive. That's it.
Let's talk about the actual game.
Okay. I don't think it's going to be a very good game, to be perfectly honest. I think the Seahawks have the upper hand in this pretty comfortably. I think they're a better team. They have a better defense. Neither quarterback is exactly John Elway, admittedly.
No.
But I think the Seahawks are probably a better offense. They're more tested for sure.
Right.
The Patriots, had the easiest road possible to the Super Bowl, basically. I think, and they had a fairly easy regular season schedule. So my prediction in this game is Seahawks 32-24.
Well, the Patriots had a relatively easy road in the regular season, yes. In the playoffs, they did face 3 top 5 defenses, but you saw how pedestrian that offense looked under those defenses too as well. I'm not sold on their offense. I'm not sold on what Drake May is in year 2. I think he is on the right trajectory, but it's just not now. Darnold, for weeks I've been saying I don't trust him. But you know what? He's not making any mistakes. He's making the throws he needs to make. He reminds me of a next level up from Trent Dilfer with the Ravens defense. I mean, he's a better quarterback than Dilfer, so he's going to help put some more points on the board than what Dilfer could. So and I look at that Seattle defense as just stifling. You're not going to run on them. They got one of the better secondaries in the entire NFL. I think it's going to boil down to 2 halves. I think the first half will be relatively close, because Seattle isn't really a team that's going to try to open up in the first half unless they connect on a couple big plays here and there. It's usually the second half is where Seattle really kind of does their damage because they wear down the opponent defensive line with their run game. Their defensive front really starts taking a toll on opposing offensive lines. Drake May will be under more pressure in the second half. Might probably make a few more mistakes. Yeah, I think this is definitely a double-digit win for Seattle. If I had to look at it, probably roughly around a 34-17, 34-20 score, maybe.
Well, I think this game, it's interesting. I can't remember the last time we really saw 2 teams go to the Super Bowl that were built on the backs of a great defense, and that's what we're seeing here in this game. And frankly, most of the teams that were in the last round great defenses. This has been a weird year for the NFL in that respect. I don't remember it being this defensive dominant when it came to the playoffs, which is something me as a traditional football purist type, I love that.
I agree with you on that. Now, did you see the same thing I have seen throughout the playoffs and most of the year? Is that the refs seem to actually allow on the defense or the teams to play. They haven't called as many crazy pass interference calls, holding calls, hip drop tackles are like very rarely called. I was curious if you know it's the same thing.
I yes and no.
In general terms, I'd probably
Yeah, and maybe I still think the refs are, in somebody's pocket. It looks like at times. I know Steve hates that.
There's no evidence to suggest that the refs are in anyone's pocket.
There's just too many fishy timing.
This is Alex's wild conspiracy theory.
Yes, it is. I will admit that.
I will, however, I don't think that's happening, but they did have one of the most controversial calls in playoff history.
Yeah.
In the Bills game.
Right.
Well, see, and that's the one thing. The refs don't really help themselves. People have these conspiracy theories out there, and then you can see one or two plays a game where it's like, see, it's rigged, or see, whatever it is. It's
the irony is, I don't consider that one a conspiracy theory type moment. That was just a bad call.
No, I do too. Yeah, it's not. I'm not saying
I
don't believe in your conspiracy. I don't think any of that's true. But it was just a terrible call that marred the whole playoffs. Because the truth of the matter is, Buffalo should have won.
Yeah, they absolutely
should have won the game.
Now, do I think Buffalo would have made it to the Super Bowl if they had? No.
I don't know.
Yeah, don't know. But I think that New England's defense probably would have stifled them in the end. Anyway. Wait, no, that doesn't make sense. But my point is, I love that this is going to be a defensive game. I think it's going to be a little lower scoring than you guys are talking about. I think I see both teams scoring in the 20s, and I see this thing ending up being something like a 28-24 game. Now I hope internally I am rooting for Seattle, and I've been wrong every time I've picked these games all playoff. So I'm going to pick New England in the hopes that me being wrong will work out better for me.
I don't have a strong rooting interest in either team this year.
I like the story of Seattle a little better. I don't know why. You got the journeyman quarterback thing. I love those kind of stories, I guess.
Yep.
Yeah. All right. Let us move on to some other topics. One topic, we have some Washington-centric topics that we should cover. And some of them are weirdly related in ways that we don't want to get into. But let's start with one that you covered already, Steve, on IJB. And that is this Epstein email that came out that Josh Harris has mentioned a few times in these Epstein files. If you're living under a rock, the government's finally released 3 million pages of Epstein documents, it sounds like. And everybody who's anybody is mentioned in them at some point. I need to find out if I can Google search and check if I'm in them somehow. I don't know. Let's just all be safe.
I think you could tell us if you knew Jeffrey Epstein. You don't have to wait for it.
Not necessarily, because Jon Stewart was mentioned. He's like, I never met the guy. They're talking about him in the third person. They wanted him to do some show, and he's in there because of
it. So we did cover this in greater depth on this week's episode of It's Just Business, but including not just Josh Harris, but some other people in there. The Josh Harris stuff is basically this. They had some communications about business.
Mm-hmm.
They met in person,
right?
At least once, and then Harris put a statement out that basically said I was trying to get rid of the guy, more or less. And this has to do with another company of his called Apollo. I don't want to go down the rabbit hole,
right?
But point is, it was a Harris. It was a Harris company. Harris did communicate with him. There was no evidence to suggest that Harris was involved in any kinky, weird, Epstein, anything. It was strictly business. Harris didn't like it, tried to cut it off. He communicated with Epstein. But it appears to not be farther than that. It's Bob Kraft is another story, but you can listen to IJB to get into that.
Bob Kraft, also one of the minority owners of the Giants, is going to be in really hot water. It sounds
Tish,
like.
we talked about him too.
Yeah.
It's Tish,
Yeah.
and
Tish, yeah.
that's a whole nother story that we covered on IJB.
But there's some big cans of worms. The Harris thing is Harris
It's much
didn't
ado
like
about
him.
nothing.
Yeah.
It's much ado about nothing.
Well, and I think most people who've read it agree that it was him saying, "Hey, someone underling, please get this guy off my back."
More or less. And I generally speaking, and I said this on IJB, I think at this point we probably everybody who acted inappropriately with 15-year-olds
Right.
and there's a photograph of somebody in a hot tub with a teenager. I think we know about that. All right, we might not have every picture, but I think we probably know about them all because both parties, the Democratic Party and the Republican Party, have both had control over these files.
Right.
And I
Things
think
have been
everything that
leaked.
was going to be leaked would have been leaked by now. Pick whatever side you're on. Alex on the wrong side. I'm on the right side. I mean, pick your side. I'm kidding, Alex.
I'm fine with it. I did
But
not
my
see
point
any.
is, like,
Ralph Nader wasn't mentioned, man. I'm good.
my point is, I think the really bad stuff has been leaked by now, and I think the 3 million pages is going to be more of this stuff. He's emailing whoever, somebody about
A
business.
lot of it's going to be benign, I'm sure.
Yes, I think all of it. I don't think we're going to get anything new. I don't think
No.
we're going to
Right.
show up and say like Robert De Niro was fondling a 15-year-old. I mean, I'm making something up. So,
Right.
I
Right.
don't think we're going to get that.
I mean, there have been a handful of new names that did come out, but it's not one that is like, oh my
Well,
gosh.
and also,
yeah.
people need to understand. I mean, none of this is verified. There's no backup for any of it. It's just crap in emails that,
A
in
lot
some
of it,
cases,
yes.
are wildly untrue. Totally unsubstantiated. This is what happens when you release tons and tons of raw courtroom evidence into the hands of the
Yeah.
public who has no concept of what they're looking at or evidentiary rules or what is
Right.
can be verified or not. This is the problem, and this is why they didn't want to release it in the
Steve,
first place.
I mean, you're a lawyer, and you may not. I know you can't speak to any specific case that you were ever on, but information dumping is a classic legal tactic too, isn't it? Like when you just overwhelm someone with paperwork.
Oh yeah, I've done it. You kidding
Yeah.
me?
Right.
I've intentionally done discovery. I can't tell you. I
You
can't
can't tell
give
us for
specifics,
what,
but
but yes.
for this one particular thing that was 3 years ago, I released 70,000 pages
Mhm.
intentionally. It's just
Right.
to drown them in documents.
Yeah,
And it was perfectly legal. And this is nothing like Epstein. It was a business thing. Okay. I mean, but
Right.
and that kind of thing happens a lot. But here it's such a huge case. There's just tons and tons of emails and all kinds of stuff.
Right.
But this is
This might
why
be
the
a
government
record in terms of paperwork. Like 3 million
I
pages
don't know.
is
I mean, there's a lot of paperwork. You'd be shocked how much paperwork is in some of these cases. But my point is, this is precisely why the government didn't want to do this.
right.
It really is, because you can just dump this stuff, and this is what happens. People
Right.
have no clue of what they're looking at, and the media who have agendas on both sides and make arguments that nobody can verify that they don't even know.
Right. I totally understand that part of it. I think if we lived in a better society, this would have all been taken care of by now. And
We lived in a better society. Someone would have thrown Epstein in jail years ago instead of
That's what I
tolerating
mean.
his bad behavior.
This would have all been
And
taken
see,
care
and
of.
that's
Right.
and that might be the most frustrating part about all this. Is just you know
There's no
our
justice, actual
society,
justice.
our society, our media, our politicians. It's all about grabbing what they need to fulfill an agenda and a narrative. It's been like that for so
Absolutely.
long. That's why I don't get deep into politics. At one point I kind of was, but I was like, you know what? This is just a headache. It's a waste of my time. I'm not a guy that likes to pick a side. I'm just right here trying to be as much of a centrist as I can be and just make the right decisions I can make. And it's like, you all go over there, you can worship your politician, love your celebrities, and do whatever you want. that's all on you. But I mean, it's annoying to me. And that's why I don't get any big conversations, even with you guys on here that much
Yeah,
at all.
I mean, and we don't normally cover politics on this show. I mean, I
Right,
have a
right.
perspective in terms of values and beliefs, but I hate both parties with a passion.
Yes,
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
they own this Epstein garbage. I mean, the
They
government
both
could have
own
done
it.
such a much better job of
Yes.
managing all
Oh yeah,
this. They
well
just did terrible.
I mean, the fact that no one's in jail shows that it's a failure by both parties because they've
Well, the
both
guy who
had
was
time.
in jail was, killed himself. But
I
yes,
I, I
Ghislaine
mean,
Maxwell's in jail.
okay, true. One person is in jail, but I meant all these people who were involved.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
It
So
just
so
shows the rot.
everybody,
But
let's
yes,
summarize this by saying, don't be that concerned, people, about the Josh Harris involvement. It's
it's not.
according to
It's
what we've seen, it's
mhm,
much ado about nothing.
right.
Right.
Semi-related in some weird ways, as I alluded to at the top of the show, we have moved up in the rankings of your trusted Washington insider sources because the Washington Post has basically destroyed all their sports media coverage as of today. They fired over
Today being the
300.
day we're recording this, which is
Yes,
Wednesday.
February the 4th. They fired 300 reporters at the Post, and they're basically destroying their entire sports department. Like it's done. They're going to do national coverage, I think, from now on, and no local coverage. So, what does that mean for fans? I did see somebody say something which just shows you how stupid people are. I saw somebody say, "Well, everyone just gets their sports coverage from Twitter, anyways." Where do you think this stuff on Twitter comes from? Do
Well,
you
I will
think?
say this though. I mean, I think the Washington Post has been behind some of their sources recently in terms of Washington football coverage. There's
Mm,
other reporters. Like John Keim is kind of the leader in the clubhouse.
sure, at
Ben
ESPN, yeah,
Right.
Standig, Finley, all these guys. None of these guys are at the Washington Post. And and for those of you who don't know, I mean, this show you're listening to was born out of people, Alex and I, and a couple
right,
others who met on the Washington Post Insider website.
right,
And we,
and
and our first kind of media
mhm,
friend was Keith McMillan, who
right.
still works for I don't know if he after today,
No,
but
he does not. No one does. They all got fired.
well, but Keith was kind of transferred out of sports though, and he was
Oh,
in
that's true.
general
Yeah.
news and stuff. So, but point is, so we know this. Now, I will say that, um, so I don't know. I think the Washington Post, from a sports perspective, was falling behind, and from a local sports perspective. In terms of the Post, generally, I have no sympathy for them whatsoever. They did this to themselves. They long ago stopped being a nonpartisan, reporter of the news. In my mind, they're a partisan advocacy group, and I have no sympathy for them whatsoever. So that's my view of the Washington Post.
Well, so here's the thing when it comes to their sports coverage, and some people will hate this, some people will love this. If it wasn't for the Washington Post, Dan Snyder would still own the Redskins.
If it wasn't for the Washington Post, they might still have the name Redskins.
But that's
Yep.
what I said.
Yeah.
Dan Snyder would own the Redskins. That would be our state. We would still be at FedEx Field forever because no one would do business with him in DC.
Yeah, a bit of a
Uh,
double-edged sword on that one.
Triple-edged sword, I'd say. uh, but yeah, like that, because it was, and look, sports coverage is not real, like it's not important like covering business or the political sphere, but they were able to do deep dives on those stories about the cheerleaders and all that kind of stuff, and that was a big part of what ended Snyder's reign.
I
It,
give them credit for
Oh, it
that.
would be
yeah,
nice
That's
if they
fair.
did an equally deep dive on the origins of the name Redskins, how the Redskins came about, and how it was never a derogatory term until it was until it was hijacked for the bloody scalp ordeal. That's not where it originated from. It originated well before that, but hey, I digress. Nobody cares about that, so
They
whatever.
had a political perspective on
Yes.
that's
yeah.
not fair. A one perspective that was um really highlighted, and yeah, they're very
I
much
think that it's
responsible.
fair to say that they were pushing that more than most other media outlets.
Absolutely.
I mean, they weren't
Right.
the only one, obviously, but they were one of the
So
big
I mean,
ones.
I'm sorry these people lost their job. I mean, in general terms, but
Right.
in the
Because it's
Washington
not,
Post as a newspaper, I have no sympathy for
look,
them. Screw them.
the average beat writer making 50K a year is not the one who's at fault for the Post falling
No.
apart. That's
No.
on their leadership. That's on the idiot who said, "Hey, let's put up a paywall so no one reads our stuff anymore."
Well, I mean, people who are on my side of the cultural and political aisle view the Washington Post as just another, again, like a partisan advocacy group. I don't think I can go to the Washington Post and go, I'm going to get the truth, without a perspective. If these newspapers and these outlets would just tell us their perspective, I could respect them more and I would understand it. But the
Well,
Post is
that's
one of
what
those that
the
didn't.
opinion for the whole point of an opinion page was. What was if you
Even
read
their
the
reporting was very slanted and opinionated, though, is the problem.
I
Even their sports
as
section,
somebody
these reporters are
who
railing on about perspectives and stuff. I mean, even the sports
as
section
somebody
did it.
who may have dealt with some reporters on political stuff, uh, I will say I was stabbed in the back by more left wing reporters trying to just get back to the center than the other way around. So
And we're
that's
not
just
trying to
my
dive
yeah.
political in here. I mean,
No,
I
no,
just
no.
had to say it. That's my spiel about Washington Post, which is screw them, basically. I'm glad it's gone.
Well,
It's about to be gone. It'll be gone soon,
it's a
hopefully.
shell of itself.
Yes.
Bezos's plan of, hey, we're going to make this into a libertarian paper. He forgot that libertarians don't read newspapers anyway.
Well, the interesting thing I find is like these folks who are pro Washington Post are blaming Jeff Bezos for not sinking more money into the, Titanic of the newspaper. Do you expect him to just keep it afloat
Well,
without a profit? I mean, it didn't work. It's going to go
he
under. Simple.
so he bought a profitable or at least profit neutral paper, I believe, at the time when he bought it, and then he lost a bunch of money. His changes are directly responsible for it failing.
I don't think so. I mean, he may have played a role in it, but um,
He's owned it for the last what,
newspapers,
4 years, 3
I
years.
don't,
I
yeah,
think they were in the midst of spiraling downward to begin with
yes,
Well,
anyway at
that's
that point.
exactly
most
right.
newspapers have been losing money.
That's my
Yeah,
point.
Yeah.
yeah.
All newspapers are going downhill, but when you are really, really, really partisan on one side, that's what's going to happen.
Well,
And you don't say it. There's outfits out there like the Daily Wire will tell you we're a conservative leaning outlet. I can respect that,
I,
because you say it.
I would say the reason why they were losing money has less to do with politics because one, again, uh, the Republican papers also went down. Like it didn't
There's
matter
not too
your
many Republican papers, but newspapers
they're
generally are going down. Yes.
all of them are, but it's infrastructure. It's the fact that you need a printing press, and it's
Well, who
2025 or 20,
subscribes to a hard copy newspaper
right,
anymore? I mean,
exactly.
some, but certainly a shell of what it used to
But
be.
that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Like the infrastructure issues are as much to blame as anything.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. Uh, and now we're just gonna be stuck with TV, which is even more vapid, unfortunately, and doesn't. And that's gonna go the same way. By the way, if you don't realize cable news is gonna hit this next, I don't know what to tell you.
But in
That's
terms to
why
wrap this up,
Mhm.
from my perspective, sorry, Dave,
that's how
I don't think their Washington football / Redskins / Seawards coverage was anywhere near as good as what it used to be.
No, when Jason Looking For was there was the best.
There you go.
It was
Yep.
great. Honestly, when it was Wilbon and Kornheiser too, fantastic. Like when they were in their prime in the 80s and 70s, fantastic coverage. Um, all right, so let's go on to the
What
next.
Dave? Did you have a final thought? I could you.
No,
you
no, I'm
talked over
good. I'm good.
Okay.
Yeah, you're good.
Let's talk about the topic Steve really wants to talk about. The Washington Commanders have suddenly released a new logo with zero fanfare. And, if you didn't see this, Dave, you sent it out to us first
Right.
on our little chat. The logo is now the stupid W that now makes even less sense inside a Greek circle. It's got like the little Greek pattern around it,
Right.
and two of the spears, which look like the spear on the old helmet from the 60s.
See,
Now,
I think I think this is just a step in an ultimate vision that they have going forward. Because this team right now, as what they are right now, they really have
right.
no identity whatsoever. And we
Yes.
know that the Redskins is never coming back. There's not going to be any form of a Native American name ever coming back. So, I mean, granted, while regardless of no matter what they do, in my mind, on the most part, it's all going to be atrocious because it's not the Redskins. But when I separate myself from the Redskins side, I see what they're trying to do. I see what they ultimately possibly are looking to do,
Mhm.
which is more of heading more of this Greco-Roman style direction with the spears and whatnot. I mean, who knows? Maybe they'll get one of them Sparta helmets on as a logo. Who knows, right? But at least it's an identity. At least it's something you go, this team represents this. This team, it may be corny, it may be terrible, it may be awful, whatever it is, it's a lot better than what they are right now, but it'll never match what they used to be. So, myself, when I look at it, I mean, regardless, no matter what they put out there, I'm not going to like anything they put out there. I'm not going to resonate with much of anything they put out there
Mhm.
as the Redskins side of me. And that's where Steve and I will wholeheartedly agree. But that's where I split myself when I go more that expansion team side of me. And I go, at least they're giving me something of an identity. They're giving me something I can at least say, this is what they represent. It may be corny, it may be terrible, but at least it's something
Um,
finally.
I'd
So,
love to say I hate this with the fire of a thousand suns. The truth is, I don't care. It's not the Redskins. I'm not gonna like it. It's not my team. The end. So put whatever you want out there. If it's not Redskins, I'm not interested. I've been honest on this show before,
Yeah.
yeah, absolutely.
about my I love talking about football and doing the show with you with Alex and Dave here, but my fandom of this franchise was destroyed when Dan Snyder destroyed the franchise and then ruined the name. And so
And
I
you
put
know,
Spears on or whatever. I really don't care. It's not
and
Redskins.
I don't think it's ever said enough when it comes to fans like yourself, because fans like you have a certain attachment to the team that most of us just don't have. There's a history there that most of us will never have with this team, and that's why I always have a problem with people wanting to talk down on people, on fans like you out there. It's like, get over it. Say you can't get over what your history you have with the team, with your father and your
Hmm.
family and everything of that nature. I mean, people are asking you to get rid of
It hurts
valuable
me.
history, memorable
Yep.
history
Yep.
that you have. I was like, that's just absurd. That's ridiculous. Myself, I mean, I'm in Philadelphia. I just gravitated to the team and I became a fan of the team. I had no family ties. I had no games I went to in the 80s and 90s. I didn't have all that. So that's why my approach is a little bit different than yours. We agree on the Redskins side, but at least I can move forward.
I mean,
If I
I
was in
have.
your shoes, to be honest with you, if I was in your shoes, I probably would just become a football fan and that's it and never
That's what I
even root for the
am.
team
That's
again.
exactly what I
Mhm.
am.
He,
I
he,
mean,
he would have been
people.
Rob Lowe in the NFL hat.
I have had a real Washington Super Bowl ring owned by a player on my hand.
Right.
Hmm.
And I will never forgive or forget that my team is gone, and it meant so much to me, and that's why I'm doing this show. That's why we started this.
Yeah.
I don't
Right.
need.
We were all
Guess what?
fans.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I don't need this.
Yeah.
But we started because we all love the Redskins, and so put out a spear or whatever. I mean, I get it, and it's better marketing. Dave's right. I mean, at least it's some identity rather than a stupid W or whatever. So yeah, okay, but it's not gonna. You don't have me.
Yeah.
All right. So I will talk about it strictly from my I understand design and all that kind of stuff perspective on everything. Because let's be honest, of the three of us, that I'm the one who has that weird background of like media production and graphic design. So it is a better starting point. You're absolutely right, Dave. This actually looks like something It obviously wouldn't work on a helmet, that logo. It's like just the shape doesn't work on a helmet. A big two-spear, like modern helmets don't have that kind of logo.
Right.
It would look like a hot mess. But it will work as a secondary logo. Remember that stupid shield they had, the circle with the wrong
Yeah.
dates? This is replacing that, I think, is the clear plan. Because that was an abomination. It had the 3 stars that it's to represent the Super Bowls. You guys made the Tennessee flag there. Didn't even realize it. Like all that over marketed ponytail crap that they came up with there, that I couldn't stand. Now they still have a ways to go, because now you have ended up creating 2 weird identities that don't mesh. You have, all right, we're going to go like Spartan themed, which I'm just going to use Spartan for the sake of simplicity, with the spears and the Greek iconography. But your font is still this 1950s military stencil, and those don't mesh. Like, this is a basic consistency thing. You now need to figure out a W that actually meshes with what you're trying to do. Now that could be a lot of things. I don't want to get into all of it, but think of like a engraved bezel that you would see on a monument, like say the Lincoln Memorial, when you go and like read the speeches that are carved in. Go look and find that W, put that in there. It'll look 1,000 times better. So little things like that still need to be done. I don't know what they're going to do on the side of the helmet. If this means they're just going to have that spear helmet from the 60s, maybe without the feather, okay. I'm okay with that. That's better than the W helmet, probably.
I mean, clearly where they're going here is the spears were with the Redskins, and so you throw some spears on, but you can't have Native American things anymore, and so the only other people had spears were like a Greek thing, and Romans, and that's what it is.
Yeah, it's an easily identifiable iconography, right? Keep in mind, everyone had spears for about 30,000 years. Everybody. It was the weapon of choice for everything.
Yeah, I mean, a pointy thing on a piece of wood is not exactly, unique. Yeah.
It was a good design plan, honestly, for whoever came up with that one. Put the pointy thing there and put it like 6 feet away from you.
Right.
Oh, and don't point it at you.
So no, I don't like it, but I wasn't ever going to like it.
Right.
That's my take on it.
It could be Scarlett Johansson naked. Steve would still be mad about it being the logo.
I mean, I would be more apt to, follow that at least, but I don't think Scarlett would be too happy if she was naked on the side of a helmet.
Well, she did it for that weird movie not long ago. It's fine.
I don't even know what movie you're talking about, Alex, but
oh, I'll Google it and I'll let you know.
Please don't, because then it's going to be on my phone. I'm not sure it's in a movie that would be not get my content filters.
Oh no, it's Asteroid City. That's the movie that it's a weird movie. You would hate it.
I was today years old when I've heard the name Asteroid City.
It's a Wes Anderson movie. You guys know Wes Anderson, who did Rushmore and Life Aquatic back in the day?
No, I've never heard of that or either of those movies.
Okay, well, he's a very interesting filmmaker. He's got this
a hoity-toity, artsy Oscar movie. Yeah, it's stupid. Don't take Alex.
No, not Oscar. None of his stuff are ever Oscar based.
It's very artsy though, right?
It's weird for the sake of weird.
Okay, yeah.
I'd much rather watch Moonfall, Halle Berry in Moonfall.
Ugh.
Even though the physics applied to all of that, it's just absolutely non-existent.
That is one of the worst movies I've ever seen.
It's a fun movie to watch. I mean, the plot's okay. It's a fun movie to watch. Physics is completely out the door. I mean, it's just like they completely ignored the physics aspect of everything. But that's fine. It's a fun movie to watch. That's all.
Yeah. Well, if you have enough popcorn, any movie's fine. Right. All right. Let's talk about. We got to cover 2 position groups now because we're at that point of our off-season schedule. Do we want to start with the rookie or the free agent topic? What do you guys?
Let's start with the rookies.
We'll start with rookies. Okay.
Just so I can set the stage here, we cover we do a draft position preview every year by position group. And the idea here is we publish an article, a column about it, and then the same week we will cover it on the show. And so we all split these up so we don't get stuck with one person doesn't get stuck with doing these ad nauseum for weeks and weeks and weeks.
Right.
And so this year, no one from Tampa is up first with corners. So he published a column on draft eligible corners.
Yes.
So yeah, go ahead, Alex.
Okay, you want me? All right. So
you do that, and then I'll do the other one.
So he has both these articles posted. He did both. We say we don't want one person to do them. He loves doing them. He does a lot of them.
He does do a lot of them. Yeah, he does.
He's just sitting there writing code all day, and then he writes this. So I guess
and he did both of the edge rusher free agency and this, but he volunteered for that. So
yes, yeah, he's a master.
Nobody forced him to. Yeah.
No. So I will give you a couple of his big points. One, it's a very good cornerback class overall. It's pretty deep. By what he thinks there's probably 3 guys who will be maybe first round picks. A lot of round 2 and 3 type guys though. So I can go through some of the names here.
Why don't you go through the big day 1 ones?
All right, let's do the day 1 ones here. So we have Delane from LSU, McCoy from Tennessee, and then Avion Terrell from Clemson. Now, he thinks that last name might go day 2, but corners are one of those positions now. It's kind of like quarterbacks and receivers where guys are going earlier than I think they maybe ought to. I think they get overvalued a bit more in the draft because of the high price for a premium corner. It's a value.
I certainly don't think Washington is going to take a corner in day 1.
No.
I don't think so. It's not their most pressing need. I think that Washington will need to get at least 1 corner in the draft, though. I mean,
but I don't think they're going to spend their first round draft pick on a corner.
No.
Yeah, if they go secondary, it'd be Caleb Downs for the safety if they did that at all.
Right. Oh yeah, I agree there. They might go safety, depending on how the draft breaks. When it comes to the cornerback class overall, though, like I said, he's got a lot of guys in the day 2 class. Hood out of Tennessee, Brandon Cece out of South Carolina, Abney out of Arizona State, Chris Johnson out of San Diego, Will Lee out of Texas A&M, Malik Muhammad out of Texas. He's got a couple more here. Julian Neal, Arkansas, Chandler Rivers and Duke, D'Angelo Pons out of Indiana, and then Devin Moore out of Florida. Devin Moore out of Florida is probably he is an interesting one because of his size. And I know that's something Tampa was pointing out a lot.
6'3", 198.
Yeah.
Bigger player.
Well, he was pointing out that Washington kind of needs to get some more size because you got Sandersill, who's a little guy. He can play Sandersill's. I think we can assume we're going to go in with the 2 young corners as your 1-2 guys, right? Because we like Amos, we like Sandersill, but you need depth behind him. Getting a big guy to kind of balance out having a littler guy like Sandersill does make a lot of sense.
Yeah, I think a day 2, day 3, sure. Yeah, they could pick a guy like that. Yeah. And there's Takario Davis is also a bigger guy, day 3 prospect.
Yeah. A lot of those early guys that he's got there are all under 6 foot, which is interesting. It's actually, even though there's some talent, it's a small cornerback class. A lot of 5'9", 5'10" guys. Yeah. It's weird how that happens. Every once in a while you see that with like a specific group in a year. It's like everyone's just under 6 feet for some reason. I remember there was a quarterback class where we had a bunch of like 6 and under guys not too long ago, which was very odd. Anyway, so here's the thing. Until we have the combine, we're not going to really know where guys are getting valued at with corners and stuff because they say 40 times don't matter. When a guy runs a 4.2, it matters. Suddenly he jumps up.
Yeah, just ideally it would be better to wait for the combine, but we have a scheduling problem with these things.
Right. We don't have enough time after the combine.
We have to be doing nothing but draft previews if we waited till after the combine.
Right. Right. Now, and I assume, Steve, that's part of why we put corners early here is because,
Yeah, oh
well,
yeah.
it's not a premium
This
need.
is not random. This is not random.
Right. Right. We're going to save the things we need for after the combine and
Yes.
after we have more information.
Yes.
Anyway, I think cornerback could be something they go for, like you said, day 2. I definitely think if they don't get one, then they will pick one up in that 6th, 7th round area just to add a guy, because you always need to add that depth.
I mean, at that point, they're basically taking who they think is the best player once you get down
Sure.
in
Yeah.
the 5th, 6th round.
Right,
Seventh.
but you're always looking for special teams guys. Corners always are playing on special teams if they're in the back
Yeah.
of the draft.
What they need to do is focus on a good slot corner they could find day 2. If one of them falls there, I think Pons is a natural slot corner. He's one of them. I believe it's him I'm thinking of. And because Sanders still cannot go back in the slot, you got to keep him outside. I know he's only 5'9". I get it, but
Team may not agree with you.
he's much better on the outside.
Team may not agree with you though.
You're right. They might not agree, but still, the numbers.
Yep.
Team
prove
can
it,
be
so.
wrong. The team can be wrong.
Not saying they
sometimes.
are not. I'm just saying.
Yeah. No, I think we all know.
Yeah.
All right. So
Well, actually, with the new defensive coordinator, Deontay Jones, I mean, he was a secondary coach anyways. So I mean, if he gets that full autonomy, I mean, I'm pretty sure that he's probably going to see who Sanders Show or where Sanders Show is best played at, which is on the outside for what we've seen in performance. So that will be interesting to see how he evaluates that.
Dave, I understand what you're saying, but let's not forget that the last DC was also a corners coach historically. And Dan Quinn, he was most famous for his cover 3 Legion of Boom, even though he was a defensive lineman.
Right.
Like, these are guys who should know how to evaluate corners, but sometimes you, like Steve's saying, your opinion gets in the way of the facts as a coach.
Yes, that's true.
Yeah.
Very true.
All right. Steve, do you want to get through the defensive edge group?
Yeah, and our 4th cast member might speak up here. Just be aware.
Well,
So
we know how he feels about Khalil Mack.
Yeah. Okay, and the 4th cast member was Kobe the dog, who heard something and was barking a second ago, which is why I went quiet. So we also do free agency previews. And this idea here is all these position groups leading up to the start of free agency in March. And so this week we're up to edge rushers, which also is no one from Tampa. And so he's listed basically all the big edge rushers. Trey Hendrickson, Odafe Owe from the Chargers, Khalil Mack, Kwity Paye, Jalen Phillips, Joey Bosa, Draymond Jones, Malcolm Kuntz, Joseph Osai. I'm not going to read all these. Some of the bigger names: Leonard Floyd, Von Miller, Dante Fowler, Hassan Reddick. There's a few others in here. Dietrich Wise, who was Washington player, last year. Jacob Martin, same thing. So just number one, Trey Hendrickson has got a projected average annual value of $25 million. It doesn't mean his cap it would be that big, but it does mean that's really a lot for Washington. They could do it, but it would eat up most of their free cap space, or a good chunk of it. So I don't really expect that. I mean, I could be wrong, but don't expect that. Owe from the Chargers, same thing, $20 million. It's a lot. If you ask me, Joey Bosa, big name, getting a little older, 31. Right. And that's the other thing about Hendrickson. He's 32. So if you fish out the ones over 30, maybe some better, Owe would be the number one guy probably. And
the interesting thing is all these names, they all kind of had down years last year.
Yes.
There's only one guy who had over 10 sacks, and that's Muhammad from the Lions. It's kind of surprising. Now, I know there are injuries and stuff like that involved, but still.
And Muhammad, though, is 31 years old. So
Right. That's
why I tend to think, as a result of this, that and by the way, Brandon Graham from the Eagles is freaking 38 years old, for goodness sakes. I kind of think Washington is going to draft edge rusher as a result of this list, because a lot of these guys are just too old. too expensive. I think they need to build with a, at the top of the draft edge rusher. So that's what I think. And in terms of what no one from Tampa likes, he's talking about Jones, Osai, Chasen. Those are the names that he thought all, Kalavion Chasen from the Patriots, all a little younger, and kind of mid-range in terms of cost.
And I agree with that sentiment. Now, my thing is, Steve, well, I agree they probably need to try and get a rusher out of the draft. Obviously, the draft's no guarantees. Like where Washington's picking, if there's a run, you could already be talking about the fourth best defensive end in that first round. Just because of the premium nature of defensive end. They need to get one of these guys regardless. Even though I don't love any of the candidates out there in free agency, I kind of feel like they have to make one move, get it, because you have 0 pass rushers right now. You need 2.
Well, they have Dorrance Armstrong, who is kind of a B-level rusher, so they do have one, but they just don't have a great one.
Yeah, and I don't like Dorrance Armstrong's not intimidating anybody. I think we could say that. Yeah, so they need to add somebody still in free agency as well.
I think they will. I definitely think they will. I just don't think they're going to spend a ton of money on like Trey Hendrickson.
Well, I think going into free agency, because honestly, I think it's either going to be a linebacker or Caleb Downs in the first round, unless it's someone like Bain that falls down to him at 7, which I doubt. Bailey maybe out of Texas Tech. I do like him a lot too. But as far as this free agency though, Alway is probably the most intriguing name when he's the guy. He's a guy in 2024 had 10 sacks for Baltimore, and then in 2025 he started the year with 5 games with Baltimore and only had 0 sacks and had 5 quarterback hits. But as soon as he got moved out to Los Angeles and the Chargers, that's where in 12 games he came up with 7.5 sacks and an additional 13 quarterback hits. They utilized him. I don't know why he dropped off in Baltimore like he did from 2024 to 2025, but after the trade, he was far more effective. He was moved around both the left and right side of the line. He was able to take advantage, or they were able to take advantage of a lot of his skill set being a quicker, more athletic edge rusher on the edge. He's got multiple moves, and so I think that's a guy. He's kind of tops on my list in free agency. Him and offensively being Breece Hall. I mean, those 2 guys are 2 guys that I personally would love to see them go after because you could do an edge rushing platoon where you have in Dorrance Armstrong and they may even bring Dietrich Wise back on 1 year. And then they have to focus on that middle linebacking group or that safety group in that first round, in my opinion. I mean, that's just a must. I don't care what kind of edge rusher you have. If you don't have a middle linebacker or a safety that can come down and play like a middle linebacker, like an impactful middle linebacker, I don't care what your first level, how effective your first level is. Your second and or third level of the defense is continued. It's going to be a weak point.
Please just admit you're overlooking Kane Medrano. You're overlooking him. Kane Medrano is the clear starter, Pro Bowl level starter.
But he's that middle linebacker with the green sticker on the helmet. Absolutely. Arvell Reese is a guy you can push out almost like an edge type of guy. So yeah, Kane Medrano, he's locked in. He's number 1. I have not forgotten about that. Yes, he's locked in. Yes.
So that is edge rushers.
Yeah. There you go. It's honestly
expect Washington to sign somebody. You're absolutely right. Expect them to sign some kind of mid-level cost, not the guys at the top.
I hate to say it because it's against what I would want to see them do. I think this might be another year where you just have to suck it up and say, get me one of these older guys who's a little bit more well established, just because you got to fill that need for another year until somebody hopefully comes available. Yeah. Yep. So that wraps up that topic. Actually, that wraps up all of our topics. We're a little early on the show. You know what? I think I'm gonna let everyone go 5 minutes early. How's that sound? Like in high
Classes are dismissed, people.
All right, guys. We will
Everybody
talk.
head out to recess.
Yes,
There
let's
we go.
talk after the Super Bowl. I'm gonna go Google what actually happened in the Pro Bowl because I don't even know.
Nor do I care.
Yeah,
I don't know
I
or
don't
care.
actually care either. Maybe I won't
Didn't
Google
move,
it. I don't.
didn't move the needle on me at all.
Nope.
Sad. All right, guys. We'll talk to you all next week.
All right. Later.
Later.